Yes, indeed, you're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuits. It's time for the Illusion of Choice! Oh yeah. This is where we see whether or not you can come up with any decent content for me. And if you can't, well, that's, I don't know, we just kind of end the show, I suppose. Let's have a look in the email box and see if there is anything cool. And if there isn't, well, it's, quite frankly, entirely your fault. I've had a couple of emails, by the way, regarding the Tuesday Assault, and people seem to be a fan of the idea that if it doesn't air Friday, it will air Tuesday, and quite frankly, I'm a fan of it too. So, I'm going to do that from now on. If I ever have to cancel the show, I want to air it on Tuesday as the Tuesday Assault. And hopefully, people will be alright with that. And if they're not, well, they really don't actually have a choice in the matter, so that's just the way that it goes. I do have one email, actually, I would quickly like to read out before I go on, and that's this. Judas Grail. He says, I'm actually a new listener. I found your site after hearing about your Twitter explosion the other day. Ha! See? You guys don't get it. This is how it works. People wonder why I always get in everyone's face and cause drama and have all these big arguments on the internet. Say, oh, why did you do that? He's not professional. No, you don't understand. You don't get it. It's an entirely massive marketing ploy. Don't you guys understand? This is what happens. Every time something like this happens, it brings more listeners to the station. We do not lose people on the basis of principle. People don't have principles on the internet. Consider the amount of time it says, I'm going to boycott this product. Do they ever? No! All of this stuff that happens, where people say, oh, we've got like 1,000 people who are going to stop listening to your show. Do 1,000 people stop listening? No, they don't. The numbers are the same or get bigger. It always happens. The loud people get listened to. The quiet people, the meek people, the people that just want to get along with people. The people who just can't make themselves stand out from the crowd in any respect. Nobody cares about them. Not at all. Now, I've actually had an interesting tweet that said, I can't believe that you, of all people, after your rant about professionalism, would cough and hack into the microphone. Okay. Yes. Illness is unprofessional. How dare you have a cold? How dare you? It is a crime against podcast manatee. Podcast manatee, new coin phrase. It's mine, it's copyright. You steal it, you will die. Okay. Let's have a look at this. I haven't finished this email yet. I got totally sidetracked. So professional. Entertaining, though. So I've been told. Now, he says this. Since I've written and I'm a new listener to WoW Radio, here's a general question for you. I'm just starting my first ever priest and only have one level 80, so can't really help the Lobby tune out too much in terms of money. Should I keep gathering skills on the priest? I started with skinning mining, which makes no sense for a priest, only to make money. Or should I bite the bullet and be a tailor enchanter? No, you shouldn't. Right, here's how it works, okay? At the moment, there really is barely any point while leveling up in having, like, any profession at all. Because most of the stuff is, like, BOE. And you can buy it for an insanely cheap price. You want to know why you can buy it for an insanely cheap price? Because other people are leveling it up. The other saps are leveling it up. And they want to make back even a fraction of their money. They're just... Stuff like jewel crafting, for instance. You see all these cool rings. It's like, hey, this would be an upgrade for like 10 levels. It's only 50 silver, what the hell? Why is it only 50 silver? Because people just want to sell it. They just want rid of it. You don't need to make stuff that's BOE, and there's barely anything BOP worth having while leveling anyway. Yes, you should take gathering skills. Why? To be honest, you should take mining herbing. Not mining skinning, mining herbing. Because you'll make a fortune. Especially if you're on an older server. The older servers have inflated prices. Let me give you an example. A stack of copper bars on my server yesterday was 118 gold. Now, that obviously is completely broken and totally overinflated, but you know what? They're probably sold. Somebody just made 118 gold from, like, laughing in the middle of Duratar. And this happens. All of the low-level mining stuff is expensive, and it sells. All of the mining stuff, it's like, it's a license to print money. Yes, you should go with that. You will solve your cash flow problems for not only your main, but your alt as well. Yes. Stay with that. Absolutely. Don't go tailoring. Tailoring sucks. And in 3.1, it's also going to suck. By the looks of it, of the new stuff that's coming in 3.1, it's still not going to be worth being a tailor. Because all of the good stuff's going to be BOE. There's nothing new BOP, so who cares? Enchanting, yes, gives an endgame raid bonus, but to be honest, think about it. You're paying about 7,500 gold for an extra 38 plus damage. Is that worth it? No, it isn't worth it. I shouldn't have to tell you that, so no. Go with Gathering, stick with Gathering. There is Total Biscuit's newbie advice for the day, and no, I hopefully haven't told him something really bad that's going to absolutely ruin everything. Okay, let's have a look at these illusion of choices. Talk about the new mounts. No, I can't. I really don't want to anyway, because it's not all that interesting. Well, I don't hate Blizzard that much. If Blizzard asks me not to talk about something and has a reasonable rationale for it, and yes, they did, I won't talk about it. Plus, who cares? New mounts, woo, yeah, we know the new mounts coming. I'm not going to talk about the new mounts. I don't care. Mounts, I've already explained, mounts barely add anything to the game as it is. So why would I talk about them anymore? Talk about Arcanist Belt and not failing raids. Okay, we're not failing raids. What else have we got? My topic for Illusion of Choice is one you've actually talked about in the past. This is from Kraken0, and he says this. What should we do about all those instances that have no use now that the level cap has been increased to 80? In my opinion, a different level of dungeon difficulty than Heroic should be added. Not a harder difficulty, but a different one. Let's say Mythic Mode. In Mythic Mode, all level 70 Burning Crusade dungeons, as well as its gear, would be tuned for 10 people. This would introduce a level of puggable content, the same way a group of blind or deaf monkeys could plough their way through any non-heroic level 70 dungeon, except with the TK instances. So now you have a whole slew of level 80 content that would require a minimum dev time to tune because the content is already there, but that's just my opinion. What is my opinion on the subject? My opinion on the subject is kind of simple. They did that with Nax, and it wasn't very good. They brought Nax back, and this was the first time they brought back an instance and said, hey, you guys, we've got this old instance here, we could just retune it, it would be really easy. And it was really boring. Really boring. I don't want to go and do SSC and TK at level 80, because it's going to turn out exactly like Nax did. It's not going to be as fun, it's going to be just dull, and you know what, I've done it before. I've done it to death. I'm okay doing it like level appropriate, like the stuff we're doing right now with Arcanist Belt, because that's a different experience entirely. That's the idea of playing a new class level appropriate in a dungeon that you might have done like 4 years ago, and seeing how the new talents and stuff have affected it. That's kind of a nostalgia trip, but it has a purpose. That's a bit more fun. Doing the same content that I did at 70, at 80, no, we just get out of that stuff. People were bored of that. And a lot of people did it as well. Yeah, like 4.5 million people who raided pre the nerf, and a whole bunch more after the fact. And they cleared a lot of this content, and they really don't want to do it again. No, I don't believe the Blizzard should be looking back in that regard. They have this thing about always moving forward, always evolving the game, and to some degree I can agree with that, particularly in this regard. I'm alright with nostalgia trips, I'm alright with nostalgia trips being supported. Like, for instance, I don't agree with the fact that they nerfed the gold in half that you can gain from old school raid instances now. That means that the lower level guilds, the ones who are doing the legacy content, you know, the level 60 nostalgia guilds, are actually having more problems with it. That kind of sucks. No, it kind of sucks that all the talents have been changed and the way that things have worked, like potion sickness, for instance, has been introduced. All this stuff is different, and it's changed the experience, and sometimes not in a good way. I agree with supporting the content to that level. Like, don't just close it off. Allow people to do it level appropriate, and even maybe allow you to lock your level. That would be quite nice. I don't, you know, like, I'm level 62 now with my rogue, and that's actually nerfing my ability to do damage because of the way the scaling works with hit and crit. So that kind of sucks, but I'm not too bothered about that. It's not such a big deal. But I wouldn't want them to bring back like Molten Core at level 80, or even SSC or Karazhan at level 80. Yeah, we've done the content to death. Just let it go. It's okay to let content go. It's okay to level past content. It's okay to see the content die. It's old stuff. It served its purpose. Really, it has, honestly. People seem to believe, oh, it's so sad to see it go. No, I'm glad to see the back of it. I played it for years. We did TBC for like 2 years. I did all these instances X number of times. That is enough. It's done. We've beaten it already. We don't need to do it again. We don't need to do it in any kind of mythic mode or whatever. I also think it sets a very bad principle. And the principle behind it is, Blizzard, it's okay, you don't actually have to release new content. Just recycle the old stuff because some people will be alright with that. I'm not alright with that. I want to see new stuff. I'd like to see the storyline progress, because Wrath is actually doing a decent job of engaging me in the story in such a way that it hasn't really done before. Because it had better leveling up content. It had this overarching antagonist and a big storyline, and it continued. I think that it petered off a bit with the raid instances, and I'd like to see it improve, and I would think that Ulduar will manage to do that. But I do not think that saying, oh, let's go back to the Outlands is going to improve the story in any way, shape or form at all, nor is it going to provide any additional content. It's going to provide a rehash, it's wasted development time, and it sets a bad principle. Now, I totally understand why people want it, and I do not condemn them for wanting it at all. I don't condemn people for wanting private servers, even though they post a new thread on the forum every damn day, despite the fact that they've said it's never going to happen. I understand why they want it. I'm not going to condemn them for wanting it, although I will condemn them for talking about it constantly over and over again. Drop it. It's dead. Get over it. Totally get why you want it, but it's just not going to happen. There are better things for the dev team to spend their time on, and to be honest, you wouldn't like it as much as you think you would, really. Doing that content level 80, just look at Nax. Did you really have fun with Nax after the first couple of times you'd done it? Was it really bringing back the old school? The answer is no, it didn't. It watered it down, which is exactly what a Mythic mode would do. It would water it down, it would dilute the experience, and it would taint your memories of having a good time in there. Because I, for one, do not want to see Nax ever again after the travesty that's been Wrath Nax, and I certainly wouldn't want to see them maul and declaw all the other good raid instances that I actually had a genuine challenge in. I got good memories, I like to calcify those memories and store them away and say, hey, this was a good time, guys, don't you remember? And I don't want them ruined by bringing it back. It's like watching a 20-year-old cartoon. It's like watching the old Transformers, yeah? You used to love Transformers. Transformers was awesome back in the day. You watch it now, you'll think, the first thing you say is, wow, is that art and animation poor? And good lord, that voice acting sucks. And all these plot holes. You grew up. You got past that point. It's the same with these instances. You've grown up, your WoW character has gone past these. Leave it behind, just appreciate the good times that you had. It's time for shout-out, folks. It's the last 3 minutes of the show. Email themurloc@gmail.com or PM me on IRC. That's themurloc@gmail.com or PM me on IRC for your shout-outs for the last 3 minutes of the show. Don't forget to check out our brand new website over at WCRadio.com. It is a work in progress. There are many more features, yes. There are many features coming your way. Many more things, and the podcast should hopefully be working momentarily. If you do not see the podcast, the new podcast on iTunes, if our feeds aren't properly streaming, go to the website. That's where our stuff is. Look under archived shows. You will find it. It will be there. So don't come complaining that, oh, well, you haven't put a show up. Yes, we have. It is on the website. Go check it out. And if you have any suggestions for the website, you can drop them on the forums at wcradio.com/forums. Go check it out. It's awesome. And thank you very much to Candwallian for sorting it out. No more hacks for us, we hope. Right, I'd like to give a shout out to Katamik of the Silver Dragons Guild, that's from Tor and Tom. A shout out to Mountain Blade for being awesomeness on a horse. Is horse good for lancing? Or is lance good for horsing? Yes. It's must from Mustachio Nut. A shout out to you for fixing the intro so it's not painful to listen to. Quick turnaround time. The intro was never really painful to listen to. You were just kind of making it up. You were like the only guy who's complained in 4 years. Seriously. A shout out to Too Old on Blade's Edge. Also to Tor and Tom, Mr. NNJ, and the crew of the IRC. All hail, Queen E. Watch yourself. She's going to get too excited. A shout out to my girlfriend Aldara, the feral noob, and to Aragus for getting my epic flyer tonight. Mohaha, I win. That's from Shunada. Can I get a shout out to War in hope that more will start playing again? I play War if the leveling wasn't so incredibly tedious. PvP's quite nice, but come on, really. What else have we got? A shout out to all the people who are, like me, guildless and want to stay guildless. You antisocial bastard, Dunkirk, seriously. A shout out to Sephirim Nocturnus on Defiance Brotherhood EU for Guild First Malagos kill while listening to this blue please. Shout out to Defiance Brotherhood, you small piles of wood, no soup for you. Shout out to Arcanist Belt and our guild master. Oh wait, that's you. Shout out to Arcanist Belt and our guild mistress. That's from A-Leaf, yes. Turn up to the Thursday raid or I'll kill you. A shout out to May Contain Funk, the best named guild ever. That's from Vengeance on Bronze Dragonflight EU. A shout out to Arcanist Belt and all the fun they're having on the EUs. Thanks for the shout out. Sorry I missed most of the show. No, I won't accept your apology. You're horrible. What can I say? A shout out to the empty can of Red Bull. His name is Fred. I've had him for 4 years. That's from Penshun. Get a real friend. Hey TB, can I get a shout out to my brother? He's really cool, but your spelling isn't. Sincerely, Ice. Ice Baby? Who knows? Why do I think Blizzard has not made... No, wait a minute, that's an illusion of choice. Don't send me more of those, it's done! Guys, get the idea. We've done it. You didn't get picked, you suck. A shout out to me for actually having a good shot at getting the new thing. That's been digged up. Malvu... What? I have no idea what you're talking about, Malvu. I'm gone, you guys are insane. My name's been Total Biscuit. This has been Blue Please, the Tuesday Assault on WoW Radio. Thank you for listening, and good night.